Could call this meeting order, June 4th, 2024, City of Bay St. Louis City Council meeting. We'll start with a prayer for Reverend Reed, followed by the pledge.
Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Now, Father, as we stand tonight as the council and administration of this city, Father, we first of all want to tell you how grateful and thankful we are that you are not only Lord over our families and over our personal lives, but over our city and our citizenry. We thank you for all the good things and great things that you're doing, Father, for us and through us. Continue to allow your purposes to flow, Father, through our lives and in our lives. And all this is for your glory. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Welcome everybody to the City Council meeting. Any items and agenda amendments needed? Add anything, taking anything away?
No, I just got two heads-up notices that, if I can.
Okay.
One of them tonight up blue and the other is a splash pad.
Yep, okay, thank you. First on the agenda, guest, Mr. Chris Michelle, FEMA regulations, Mole Street. Come forward, please. I don't know, Mr. Gary, no block?
Yeah, I put them on.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Michelle is wanting to question the process and what's going on with certain houses. And in particular, Warren Bowl, I brought it up last meeting, and he just has specific questions.
Okay, this is, so I'll have to kind of talk to you briefly out front. So you have it's your house on Mole Street that you're doing something with, or?
No, sir, it's a house in our neighborhood,
Okay,
and I'm just here to submit a review for a pre-firm residence building application permit for 2183 Mole Drive in relation to the FEMA 50/50 substantial damage, substantial improvement regulations.
okay,
Specifically, the accuracy of the submitted rehabilitation estimate.
okay.
I have some documentation that I would like to hand out, if y'all would like to follow along.
Thank you.
I've divided this out into 3 sections. First section is the building permit and estimate. The second section is FEMA regulations. And the third section is some pictures to document the facts along with.
So, I've got a question. So, from where where a body is set up, City Council's legislative body, administration, executive. So you've talked to the city, building department, and administration about this issue,
Yes, sir.
and you're not comfortable, or you did not agree with what their finding was?
I was never contacted back. I had a closed-door meeting with Mayor Mike Favre
Okay.
and Ricky Ladner of the building department, and I reached out for rebuttal to that meeting, was never contacted.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, we can listen to what's going on. Understand, I'm pretty up to date on the FEMA regulations. But at the end of the day, administration has to make the call. City Council cannot make a permit, withdraw a permit, or do anything on a permit. Administration has to administer the permits. We give them regulations, they go out and administer what we approve, basically. We can listen to your story, or not story, but your concern, right?
Facts.
But I can't, we cannot change the facts or how the administration is handling it. We can ask them to relook at it. But other than that, we can't pull a permit.
So if the city's flood insurance rating is at jeopardy, and
Could
you
be.
have audits that take place
The non-compliance.
that for non-compliance,
Yes, sir, it could be.
which could
NCR.
affect the city's insurance premium rates
It could,
from individual insurance premiums.
correct.
Dependent, it could stem to all the way from penalties,
Mhm.
suspension,
Right.
or they could remove you from the program.
If you have enough non-compliances.
That's,
yes.
that's correct.
We haven't.
So
reviewed.
this has already been brought up to
Okay.
the building department.
Right.
With no, and the work is still going on.
Okay,
So somebody has to have oversight.
right, right.
I've already contacted the FEMA floodplain manager.
Mhm.
I was told he cannot meet with me publicly unless the mayor approves it. Somebody has to have oversight.
Correct, understand.
And I think that's the building department that has oversight on it.
Okay, well, the building department is the one in question for issuing a permit with a estimate that is not accurate.
As far as we know, it's accurate.
Okay, well, I'm here to prove it's not.
Well, we don't go out and check just like
Well,
anyone
FEMA-
else. We don't
FEMA
go out and
requires-
check,
FEMA requires that you go out and check the estimate.
and they do. But we've also been in contact with FEMA and MEMA, both.
Mhm.
And after you have
Can
as
I
well.
present some numbers that I could, where I could prove to you that this estimate is not accurate?
Sure.
Okay, well, let's get into it.
Okay.
Okay, so the cost of improvements cannot exceed 50% of the current market value of the structure.
Correct.
This estimate came in at 49.6% of the appraised value. FEMA requires any estimate within the 40 to 50% range to require a detailed estimate and an inspection by the local building department to verify that the estimate reflects and includes all necessary repairs to be made. Okay, so I have a couple concerns with that. If you look on section 1, page 2, the assessed value of $60,688 was a tax burden assessment done on 4/5/24. The estimated cost for the rehabilitation project of $30,107.73 was done on 4/25. So you tell me when the inspection was done to compare it to the 50/50 regulation in those almost 3 weeks in between the estimate being received. And if you look again on the top of page 4, it says the estimate was received on 4/25.
So you're asking on 4/5 they was given, and then on 4/25 they received the estimate?
Yeah, so how was the
'Cause there
inspection
was
done?
stop work permit
So-
put on this until the estimate.
Well, then how was an inspection done to verify that the estimate was accurate to reflect the repairs that were required and the permit was already issued?
That's when the stop work permits was issued.
No, the original
Two
building
stop work
permit.
Permits issued until this was received, page, whatever this is, the bids on this job. There were stop work permits issued till this was received.
Right. So,
Even
so
though a
where
permit
where
may
did
have
this,
been issued.
where did this original residential remodel permit, date issued, 4/5/24 come from?
It was issued, evidently.
Without an estimate?
But again, work was stopped on there twice. 2 stop work permits was issued.
Okay, well then let's go
They
further.
made a mistake and issued a permit.
Okay, well, let's go
There was
further.
also
Let's go
2
further
stop
because
work
I think,
permits.
let's go further because I believe there was mistakes made in the validation of the estimate itself. We can go there.
So just to confirm, so the third page, there's the original permit application 311. So that, there's a stop order on that one. And then on the top right, it says okayed for permit 45, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then,
So there's a discrepancy between the
So-
estimate being received and the permit being issued and the inspection being done, obviously. Right.
and
That's
there-
just-
there's-
that's
there was
just the
two-
fir-
There were 2 stop, I'm sorry, Chris, two stop work orders.
That's what I was told. There was 2 stop work permits, work orders issued to this job.
Yeah, the first,
One was evidently then, another one was, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, Ricky's not here, I wish I'd known, because he could have come and answered some of these questions. But also, when the first one was given, first estimate, it wasn't broken out into salaries as well, and FEMA stated that you have to show salaries, even though he's a contractor and doing the work and everything himself. You he'll have to show some type of,
Labor.
Okay, well,
The
let's,
labor
let's
cost.
talk about that. If we, if you go to, page, 5 of section 1,
last page,
yep.
gotcha.
If you look about, almost near the bottom, the labor estimate at 200 hours, at $7.25 an hour, that is the total labor estimate for everything except the the electrical and the HVAC subcontract, which are not detailed out. That is Mississippi minimum wage. FEMA requires that it be done at current market value or going rate, which according to the Labor of Statistics and Labor, Mississippi, carpenter rate is $24 an average, on average. That's not an expert and that's not a novice. It's $24 on average. 200 hours is 2 people, 2.5 weeks. You're gonna do $30,000 worth of material labor in 2.5 weeks. Well, I can tell you, I live across the street. They've been over there for a month. They don't even have half the deck built and the steps aren't finished. So I don't know who's policing this labor estimate, but that is not accurate. Back to my original concern of this is not an accurate estimate. The estimate came in at 49.6% of the 50% required to make it allowable for rehabilitation. If not, it has to be raised to current FEMA elevations, current, post-firm, and to current building codes. There's no plumbing estimate. I can show you pictures where the main plumbing drains and water lines were removed. The only plumbing estimate is a miscellaneous estimate, including some fixtures, some sinks, toilets, and stuff. I'm a licensed master plumber in the state of in the city of Bay St. Louis. I can tell you right now, to replumb that house, it's CPVC piping. That's the stuff that was done before that area was annexed, when there were camps out there. That is no longer code. Just to redo that plumbing with correct fittings and PEX piping at the minimum would be $5,000 to $6,000. New drain lines, everything. The estimate is not accurate. It should have been done by a third-party, independent, reputable contractor. And when I say reputable, I mean of good reputation, trustworthy and honest. Not the homeowner. They're biased.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's, and the other
The
thing is,
homeowner is a licensed contractor in the state of Mississippi.
he got his license in February. He lives in Slidell, and he's never done work in
So
Mississippi
whether it's
before.
reputable or not, I can't answer that, and we don't
Well, reputable.
look at that, you know, but he is a state licensed contractor in the state of Mississippi.
Okay.
So, right, I guess Michelle brought up a point about the plumbing, right? I know you have to have basic plumbing in a house for it to get a COA. So it shows plumbing fixtures, but it shows no installation, no piping, no rough-in, nothing on plumbing.
That's correct.
So to me, that would,
It's a very generic estimate. It doesn't show impact rate of windows. It doesn't show the 8x8, which there's a picture of in section 3. That's deteriorated. It doesn't show replacing that 8x8 sub-column in there at all.
not a lot, like,
And the mere fact that he has $1,400 in labor to do all this work is 5% of the estimated rehabilitation estimate. 5%. Y'all know any contractor that does work for 5% of the value of the? I don't. I'd like to have him work on my house, honestly.
You probably would.
The purpose of the 50/50 regulations are just as important as new construction regulations. FEMA's goal in flood hazard areas is to eventually eliminate all pre-firm structure. By allowing this type of activity, we are, as a community, going backwards and putting everyone involved in the National Flood Insurance Program at jeopardy. If during an audit, deficiencies were found in regard to compliance with regulations, FEMA could impose three different sanctions on the community, all not good. So I'm asking the council for one of two things. Verify the accuracy of the estimate with an independent third-party contractor and reevaluate the 50/50 requirement regulation. Or two, find that this rehabilitation estimate does not meet the requirements under the 50/50 rule. Therefore, requiring the structure to be raised to current FEMA elevations and current building requirements.
So to move forward, Ms. Michelle brought up some good points. The plumbing, right, would throw it over the top of 50%. How do we move forward on what's the, and again, right?
I don't know, does miscellaneous cover it? I don't know,
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, again, right,
And I'd also just like
how do we,
to point out in
we
this,
do?
I mean, even Mr. Michelle said, market value. We're going off of tax assessor's assessment. So the conversation that has not been talked about here, and one that, quite frankly, we don't necessarily have an answer to, is if this guy came in with an appraisal value to see what his house is, it might be substantially more than what the assessor
There's
has
three
it
different ways
listed at.
FEMA will allow an appraisal of a house.
Yes,
You can use current tax burden estimate, you can use an independent appraisal, or you can use actual cash value.
yes.
Actual cash value, he bought the house for $40,000.
That
that
doesn't
includes-
necessarily mean it's actual cash value.
Well, yeah, actual cash
So-
value
That's
means
like
an
everything.
agreed upon price between a buyer and a seller. That's what it means.
But that's
Actual cash
house,
value.
that's lot and everything.
That's lot and everything. So you take
So
the
a lot out there
so you
selling
take
right
this-
now for probably what, 100,000?
50,000. The
So-
tax burden estimate on the lot alone is 17,000. So you take that off of 14,000. Now you're looking at, what, 27,000 for the actual house?
But
And a $30,000 estimate to repair it?
my point to this is if you get an independent appraisal, so they're going with tax estimates because that's what they typically do, so they're staying, maintaining a steady pace on that. But that's, if this guy goes out and hires an independent appraisal and says, this is what my house is worth, I mean, we have no recourse to say, no, it's not. And that's a conversation that Ricky's had with MEMA and questions that have been asked during
We
this
can-
process.
Well, personally, I think if somebody come to appraise my house and I got an independent appraisal and they said, your house is worth $10,000, I'll go with that, right? Well, the houses on both sides of me are $100,000 on comps. Legally, there's no way that would stand up. So you can't go get in, I would not think you could go to independent appraisal and tell them, I want you to appraise my house at $10,000 so I can do something illegal. Right? I mean, it'd be hard for me to,
And that's not what I was
no,
insinuating.
I'm just saying, no, but I'm just saying that, no, but in a
But
case
that's
like
not
that.
what I was insinuating. That needs to be perfectly clear here.
Okay.
Is that, I'm sure
That's
most
what I'm
of you
implying.
sitting up there, if
Well, how
you
do-
go and
it's
get an
gotta be
independent appraiser,
equitable.
and then you go and look at your appraisal on the
Exactly what I'm
house,
implying.
you probably will not take your independent appraiser and bring it to the tax office and say,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Mr. Leitner, please assess my house for this amount.
Right, right.
I mean,
But
that
we're
probably
talking-
will not
But it's gotta
happen.
be equitable.
The
Yeah.
tax assessment we're looking at was it 60,688? Is that where the estimate is?
Yes,
Okay.
for the structure alone.
I mean, it does say in here again, local officials are responsible for reviewing the validity of all cost estimates provided by applicants. As Mr. Michelle presented, I mean, do we have a fully accurate, and it seems like there's missing information, is that to where, is it necessary to do a stop work till this can be further examined based on the cost out?
Look, we've disputed this, we've talked to FEMA, we talked to MEMA, numerous times. And again, they're on board with what's happening. But this cost is also a cost into the future. I think it's in our ordinance, something that's 10 years. So if a storm comes tomorrow and blows the shingles off the roof and gotta be repaired, then
It's just
that's
additive.
over the
Yeah.
cost.
It's just
And,
additive.
and it's gotta be moved up then,
Right.
and
You'd have to
everything's
raise
gotta
the
be done.
house.
If he comes in and replaces a window, with broken windows and all, and it puts it over that cost of whatever it is, it's gotta be up. This is a running cost for the next 10 years, this repair.
The question is, if the estimate to rehabilitate this property is accurate.
No, it's gotta, fair,
And-
fair,
and look,
fair
we've
question.
never
I don't
taken an
know.
estimate and went and got other estimates. When you come in to get a permit, do we go get another plumber to come in and say, you say you're doing a job for $500?
No, but
Your
I'm a
Your
reputable,
permit is based on $500.
I'm a
Do I go get
reputable
another
contractor.
permit?
I'm a reputable contractor who's done business
Well,
in
I'm
Big
not
St.
saying
Louis.
this
before.
guy's not, because I wouldn't know
Well,
this guy if he walked in the door
he's
right
never-
now.
he's
But
never
he's a
done
state
work.
license in Mississippi.
Yeah,
That's all
as
I
of
can say.
February.
If you wanna say he's not reputable, that's you. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that.
I'm just saying
You
it's
know-
not reputable based on his estimate.
Yeah,
And again,
And then construction,
there's
You can
questions
never go
about
down
that
to
whole
a penny.
estimate, but again,
$1,450 in labor at $7.25 an hour is not a reputable estimate.
but if that's what he's paying himself to do this,
It has to be included at current market value, the going rate. That's
can
what
we
FEMA
have the,
says.
so can we have the floodplain manager review that question?
yeah,
Does, you know, have him to find that in the code, does it state that has to be at certain rate,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And that if Mr.
it's in there.
Kanishi says that if
It's
that's a
in there.
requirement,
I can-
then
I can
seven
show you what-
twenty-five cannot be used, then the current rate would have to be used, which would, would change this build, right?
Drastically.
Yeah.
It's in an effort to protect
Well, protect-
communities.
Protects the community,
Right.
right?
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody builds to current FEMA regulations, but to allow a house that's pre-firm, FEMA states specific rules and regulations have to be followed. And those regulations come with a lot of specifics. And those specifics are, the estimates have to be done correctly, they have to be approved, they have to be verified. And this was not done in this case. That's it.
So when property owners do their own work or if volunteer labor is used, then a normal market value or going rate for labor must be included in cost estimates. The value of labor should be estimated based on applicable minimum hourly wages, rates for the skill and type of construction work that will be done. Wage rates can be used geographically. In both cases, local officials should verify the estimate based on professional judgment and knowledge of local regional material cost and construction industry labor wage scales.
Okay.
So our floodplain manager, or building official, whoever should look at this
I've requested a meeting.
to
with,
understand if that is
floodplain manager.
true requirement. If it is, then figure out where, you know, where we at on this.
Well, even with this type of estimate, he hasn't covered all his bases. And again, I don't know the individual
Yeah.
and, you know, I put Mr. Michelle on at the last minute, my fault. And, we should probably have the owner come in and explain this, because at this, he couldn't get a certificate of occupancy.
Not without a bathroom,
Well, not without any running water.
not that way.
not without a bathroom. Functioning bathroom. There's no plumbing.
They've got fixtures.
We got fixtures, just don't have any plumbing costs. Yeah, I don't, yeah, I know. I don't know either. I'm just, again, I'm just kinda asking questions and how Mr. Michelle has some compelling questions. I think we owe it to him to, determine if the application is, submitted correctly. If it is, explain to him why. And it's a yes or no, this is what we can do answer.
Sure, as long as you're willing to face an audit by MEMA
Yep.
when the time comes.
The administration would like to take this and look at it, and put this back on the agenda for next meeting.
Well, they do a CRS
Please.
audit, just to let you know,
I
they
know.
drive around and look every 5 years, and they looking for things like,
They pull
structures, stuff
pull
on
permits.
houses, like bathrooms.
They pull so many permits.
Size of rooms,
They
things
pull
like
so
that.
many permits, and
Bottom,
they verify those.
closed in, all that.
Yeah, they verify those permits and ride around.
I also like to spread this, information upon the minutes as a package.
Okay. Please put this back on next agenda item, please, Ms. Caitlin, and we'll follow back up with it. Thank you, Ms. Michelle.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So are we supposed to do all guests now? I didn't look at the agenda. We got public forum down there. All right, we got a new system in place, so it got me kinda out of whack.
That's the only guess I know of.
Well, yeah, I just didn't know if we was doing anything. Motion to approve minutes, May 21st, 2024. I did get Caitlin to change the minutes, reflect for the lease, for the rental of the community center for the Historical Society. It just says, had 6-day rentals for $2,700. I wanted her to explain that so someone else didn't come in and say, hey, you let them have it for 6 days for $2,700. Broke it down by the hours, the 3 hours per day and the 2 half-days. And that was the only correction I saw. Any motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with
Motion, Mr.
corrections.
Knobloch,
Second.
second, Mr. Hoffman, any discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Motion to authorize administration to advertise request for qualifications for services of the grant administrator for the SWIFT grant program.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Salvo,
Second.
Second, Mr. Noblock. Discussions.
Yes.
Once this is approved, we have a template or form that we use to go out for, qualifications already. The timing, when is it ready? Can we send it out and I don't remember, is it a month you advertise?
We
It's about a
advertise 2 weeks.
6-week process.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
it.
total of 6 weeks.
Total 6 weeks. And we,
We gotta get in the paper, gotta run 2 consecutive weeks, then go out for bids for 2 weeks, I think, and then we'll open the following week. So we're looking at 5 to 6 week time frame in this if everything goes as well. We don't
This
miss.
is FEMA, so you gotta
anything.
directly solicit your PBs and your WBs. So you gotta look those up, send it to them.
okay, and those come back into to administration and the group
Yes,
is handed out. They rank them and then the grant
The
administrators pick
recommendation will be,
from that group.
you got it.
Once the grant administrator's chosen, you know, the grant administration grant the, award letter. Well, we gotta have an administrator before we can do an award letter, right? And walk through that process,
I would recommend it, yes.
right? So with a grant, what would a grant administrator do? Cause I'm kinda confused about what personally, will they just take the grant and run with it?
For the most part, yes. And so I would highly suggest that in the criteria, someone who has worked with specifically SWIFT grants, and also that has worked with our FEMA region to understand what goes on in our region, because not all FEMA regions, they all follow the different procedures. But yes, that is your person that is your liaison between, not only the city and MEMA, but also in FEMA. And so they know all the federal procurement regulations, frontwards and backwards. They know, whatever forms have to be filed, say maybe in the land records, like a covenant that would run with the land. They can check all of those boxes to make sure that it's all done right. And it also just gives somebody that does federal procurement, federal law, federal grants, that's all they do for a living.
Okay. And I had another question and it escaped me. I wrote some down. Okay, I'll ask him
So
in a minute.
we're addressing the SWIFT grant right now under the mayor's report?
Yes, well, this is part of the motion to go out for the
To go out
the
for
grant
bids.
administrator.
RFQs.
You know, keep in mind that right now, that money is not included as a line item in the grant, but that question is being posed to MEMA right now. MEMA has reached out to FEMA, and then we actually have an official letter that we are going to send if we don't get an answer, unless we've already sent it, but we have it drafted, kinda ready to go,
Okay.
to formalize it.
To change our grant,
Correct.
our application. Also,
Correct.
Mr. French
Uh-huh.
has stated that's possibly that we can do 25% draws. Do we have that in writing, or just confirmation, or?
Yes, so, well, we have informal emails. We do not have anything formalized. The only thing that, and we have talked about this internally and with Mr. French, just keep in mind when we talk about 25% draws, we're used to doing multi-million-dollar projects that drag out over a year. This
Right.
is not the situation here. Hopefully, these people will get in and get out in a matter of a couple of weeks.
Okay,
So it really, while even if they can do these draws, it's not
Not really.
gonna be beneficial, because
Okay.
all of these payments are gonna come in, you know, the bulk of the money is all gonna come in at one time.
okay, I just didn't know how long.
Basically, by the time you got reimbursed from MEMA, you'd have, I mean, all of your draws would already be paid.
Okay, so it's really, I didn't really know how long
So
the
it's nice in
process would.
theory, but it doesn't necessarily help.
Doesn't help us anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but we won't be tied up, our money won't be tied up for months on end.
Oh, it could be, yes. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, it could be.
If something catastrophic happens, but they'd have
Yeah.
agreed that they would pay us timely to move forward.
Well,
Mr.
I
French
mean,
had
he
said
said
he would try to.
90 days.
Yep.
If
Okay.
a natural disaster does not occur.
Peace, yeah, I
And
know,
that's not Mississippi, that's
the world.
because so what you have to understand is MEMA is relying on the words from FEMA. So MEMA can, I mean, you know, Clayton can call MEMA and try to figure out, or FEMA, try to figure out what FEMA's going to do, and he can commit it from MEMA, but that doesn't, you know, if something goes
So-
south and somebody gets wiped out by, you know, whatever, that could slow FEMA down.
So, and I've heard two sides of this. MEMA does not have the money today,
No,
so FEMA still has it.
correct.
One time I heard they thought they had transferred to MEMA and
Yeah,
then not. and
MEMA
then-
does not have the money.
Okay, so they have to get reimbursed.
And when you say the money would be tied up, obviously pending there's not a natural disaster, just to clarify, that would not be, the city would not be responsible for any money that was owed at that time for the homeowner, correct?
Well, yes and no. That's one of the reasons that we want to get a grant administrator in to help us figure out how to do this.
How to word
because
all that to where
the
we're not.
homeowners, I mean, it sounds like what I've heard from the last meeting is you guys want the homeowners to front 100% of this money. Because somebody's gotta front this money. So it's either, it's 100% a reimbursable grant. So somebody has to spend the money. So either the city of Bay St. Louis has to spend the money or the homeowners have to spend the money. But one way or the other, the money has to be spent before the money can be reimbursed.
And that was kind of my questions before, when we was hesitating a little bit, is the contractor's actually signing the contract with the city. So if the contractor's not paid in 5 months, or because MEMA, or whatever, if the homeowner didn't have the money, would they come to the city looking for that money?
Yeah.
You know, so because we're the sub-grantee.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we're putting it out to bid, and we're actually hiring the contractor through the city. So at what point, where's all liability?
Well,
Will a contract
and
with the homeowner
that's, so
negate
ultimately,
all liability?
ideally, we would love to pass this down to the homeowners,
Mhm.
which is what they do in Louisiana. The problem with that is under Mississippi, which not necessarily Mississippi, but under FEMA Region 4, Louisiana, they can go out and they can just get 3 quotes from 3 contractors, and they don't even have to take the lowest. They can just go out and do that. We can't do that. Our grant agreement says that, and this is where it gets convoluted, because the city of Bay St. Louis is responsible ultimately to make sure all the procurement policies are followed. So even if we pass all this burden to the homeowners, it's ultimately still the city of Bay St. Louis's responsibility to go in and verify that every box is checked and that everything has been done. So that's where a grant administrator becomes very important, to make sure that that is done, and to make sure, so if we take and we pass this burden and we say, okay, homeowners, y'all go do it, fly little birdie, go. That is great, but they have to follow every step of federal procurement.
Okay,
And Mississippi procurement,
right, all right.
which in
Good.
this case is worse than
Yeah,
federal procurement.
it's crazy that FEMA.
Which is different than
But we know,
Louisiana,
like,
correct.
Corps of Engineers has different standards for us than they do across the road.
And
so
that could be the
that's-
difference too, is
That is
that
crazy.
Louisiana procurement policies are different than Mississippi.
Yeah.
So, you know, Louisiana could have the same procurement guidelines in there, but if the state of Louisiana's procurement guidelines aren't as stringent as the state of Mississippi, then they may not have that hiccup that Mississippi has to go through. And, people in the Northeast are also they have the same procurement issues that we're having in the state of Mississippi.
Okay, so one step forward, right? RFQs, get the RFQs back in, get a grant administrator on board, and let's keep rolling along. Thanks everybody for their support and continued diligence working on this. Any more discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Motion approved, the City of Bay St. Louis, Tree Protection Mitigation Ordinance 666-06-2024. I have not had a chance to review this. Mr.
Neither
Mayor.
have I.
Yeah,
So,
so we,
my question was regarding the, I guess, the penalties that are involved with this. It's $2,000 possibly times the number of trees that we need to be
It's,
required to mitigate. so-
maximum fine is $2,000.
That rain.
So
At
it's
the
like a
most we
12
can
to
go.
30-inch tree, you got 2 trees that need to be mitigated, so they could charge $4,000 as a fine?
If they got 2 trees, yes, per offense.
well, that's a
Whereas
fine though, right?
If it goes up 5170, then it would be 5 times 2,000, so it'd be 10,000. So
Wait, what now? What was that last part?
for each category goes up, it looks like you multiply that whatever that multiplier is by
That's the number of
times
trees,
2,000.
at 54 inches, the circumference of a tree, that's 12 to 30 inches.
Right, but it says the fee shall be $2,000 multiplied by the number of trees required for mitigation, which I assume was the number of trees that are listed in that
Yes, it's
box there, so it goes
a
up.
maximum of $2,000 fine, and you're required to mitigate the amount of trees,
Right.
which is on the chart for whatever side,
But it
up
al-
to two times. So if the judge sees fit to, if it calls for 2 trees to be mitigated, he can charge up to 4 trees.
Okay.
Plus the fine of up to $2,000.
But it says that, now, developers of property under 4.2, unable to plant mitigation trees out on site may choose to remit a fee to the city of Bay St. Louis, which will be directed towards enhancing the beauty of Bay St. Louis in lieu of planting. Fee shall be $2,000 multiplied by the number of trees required
Correct.
for mitigation.
Correct.
So that can be greater than $2,000.
That can be, well, that's not the
Be-
fine. That, if a developer comes in and wants to remove a tree,
Then they're gonna pay
and if they don't wanna
based on
go
the
out
chart
and get this,
times
then they would pay the
$2,000.
city $2,000 per tree, cause then we would go out and get a contractor to come plant the trees, and
And it'd
maybe
be-
it for a year to guarantee it's
It'd
gonna
be
live and
based on
everything.
the size and then comparable number of mitigation trees, so
Correct.
5170 would be 5 trees, it'd be $10,000 they would have to pay to cut that tree down.
Correct. Now, but there's also in here, you know, for hardship, safety,
Mhm.
that can be done at a mitigated cost of not this.
So what is, so
Yeah.
that's section 3.4, correct? So if it's determined, that administration determines that the specific trees are present and removal is necessary due to safety concerns or hardship, so what would the mitigation requirements then be?
What would the mitigation be?
Yeah.
We would, if it's due to a safety reason, whatever, probably a few trees.
But
Like
we
if
need-
lightning hits it and kills a tree,
But
you
do,
know,
do we have that spelled out? I mean, when we say a few trees, do we have that definitively, or is it defined on what that is? And also, it'd be, I mean, what does constitute a hardship?
if it's in your, on your lot, pre-existing lot, if it's on your lot, you can't build around it. It can't, you know, let's just say like the one on Court Street, Cary Court, I'm sorry, Cary Court. You know, it was in the middle of the lot, you know, no way to build around it, and, you know, it was removed.
The only issue that I wanna make sure this is not opening up a pathway for someone just to pay a couple of dollars and remove big trees. That's what this is opening up.
Where do you see it's gonna cost a couple dollars?
Well,
Not
if a developer like in Shieldsboro wants to remove one of those big old 300-year-old oak trees and he pays for it, he can cut them down willy-nilly.
And
that's
if that
opening, this is
tree-
making a
That
pathway.
200-year-old oak tree, let's just say it's probably 14 trees or more to be replaced. So he would have to, replace it with that.
Yeah,
One
well,
thing I would tell you, Gary, though, I'm
$28,000.
much more leery about the ordinance that you currently have allowing that to happen than this. The ordinance that we have now is not very favorable to that. It does not work. I mean, the developers can basically get around most of anything. I'd have to pull it up, and it's been a while since I've looked at it, but
So can we,
current
and,
ordinance is not good for trees.
yeah, and right, Gary's thing, right? For a certain size tree, right, before it can be cut down, council approval, tree ordinance approval, tree advisor approval, something, I don't, buy-in, right? If, the tree on North Beach, right? 300-year-old tree cut down. That's crazy.
We got 2 arbors stating the
Right.
tree was dead from lightning
The head light
on that.
strike. Yeah.
Our guy, John Adams, which
Right.
does ours, and then they also had one to
Okay.
state that.
Yes, and I asked
And
for
it's
that
on,
report.
they've, on their permit and all, it states, that tree was dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so if we're building a house on a lot, right, and we just cut a tree down, and we don't know about it, it's in our ward, right? And I don't,
North Beach is another example of one down there a little further down.
it's just how do we get everybody to understand, hey, I'm gonna cut a 300-year-old tree down, and we're all okay with this?
Yeah.
I
Look.
don't know how to,
Look, the guy,
Does anybody else wanna be
I'll give you
involved
2
in it?
examples, North Beach and
Right.
South Beach.
yeah,
These down here was stopped, had to, you know,
Yes.
to give us trees, replant trees on their property and everything.
Right.
It wasn't a bit, that big of a tree. The one on North Beach was down there, he didn't move that equipment for a month or two. It was stayed there, wasn't given permanent, he's gotta do the same thing, mitigate out to that.
Right.
You know, again, what it's gonna do, and I think since these two has happened, there's a lot of word out that, hey, they're pretty serious about it, but this here adds something to really be thinking about. I'm not gonna go illegally cut a tree when it might cost me, you know, $25,000-$30,000, possible jail time and the fines and everything else.
Yeah, that's just, I
Yeah.
wanna make sure it's has enough teeth, enough,
I think it does.
it's, you know, cause and I guess, you know,
And Doug, to your
I don't-
question, no, there's trees that get removed that we don't know about. You know, and that's up, you know,
yeah, that's.
again,
happens.
it was riding around one day and seen them cutting these trees and make a phone call, why, you know, why we cutting these trees. And the same thing happened on the other one down there that the lightning hit, you know, and a
Yeah, we're gonna
Tampa,
cut some more on that property.
you know, they
Yeah.
trimmed up where the house
Two
is
more that we're
going,
gonna cut.
you know, so.
Yeah, I just, after that happened, I'm like, how do we, does any of the council, you know, and I don't wanna make more rules and more stuff, but if you're gonna cut a big oak tree down in somebody's ward or neighborhood or something, can at least everybody say, hey, yeah, it's gotta, you know, neighbors call and say, yeah, I went out there and looked at it, and this right stack dab in the middle of the lot, and the people can't build their house, right? Do you wanna buy their lot from them so they can build somewhere else, or, I don't know, how do you?
Yeah,
city
the key
wanna
to that
buy
is pre-existing versus, I think sometimes what, you know, is there a hardship that's created by trying to jam
Or maybe-
on too many
yeah.
lots to where you say, well, you know, you could easily mitigate that.
Mitigate your house, move your house. or
But I'm saying that, you know, Councilman
But I
Knobloch
think
brought
when
up
we do
Shields,
that,
Shieldsboro.
We gotta be willing to give the variances sometimes to
Right.
go with it,
Yeah, and we have, we did that on
you know,
Yeah.
Boardman or one of
to
those.
do that, yeah.
But,
Yeah, we
But
moved
we
it.
gotta be willing to
Correct.
work with the homeowner, cause if I got a lot there,
Right.
you know, a tree shouldn't stop me from building what I want.
Right.
You know, as long as I meet the requirements to build on, if I got it, and there's no way to go without cutting down, is the city gonna give me $100,000 for my lot?
Right, yeah.
Not likely.
Right.
You know, is somebody else gonna buy it for $100,000 and just let it sit there? Not likely.
Right.
You know, so you gotta allow them, you know, it can't stop
It's a
building.
balance.
But we also, when someone comes that's willing to redesign their house but needs a variance, we gotta be willing to give them that variance and understand why they're getting the variance and all, you know. So it's gonna be a give and a take.
Right.
Not just, you know, deny the variance and then, you know, they cut the tree down and then raise eyebrows.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've,
so,
Well, and I
my-
think that one case we're talking about, that was, I mean, the variance that was requested because of the close proximity that's two neighboring properties, it was substantial,
Well,
but,
anytime you ask for a variance, it's gonna be close to the proximity of the neighbor.
yeah,
But
but
you don't
that in
have to ask
particular
for it,
was,
you know.
based on the sheer size of that, it would have been,
But again, they went and drew a new set of house plans would cost a few $1,000s probably, I don't know what it cost. But they spent money redrawing a whole new set of plans, trying to fit it on the lot without cutting the tree down. Done one on North Beach and South Beach where, you know, those two incidents we talked about, those were cut without permits and all, and that's when we came down hard on that, and came down with also trying to come up with an ordinance that's gonna help stop this when you know, when you come into the city of Bay St. Louis, this is their fine. And I think the judge, you know, is pretty well with it and everything, you know, as far as enforcing it,
so,
as we have seen.
but my question initially was, if they wanna pay to cut down the tree, and it's a big tree, they can pay the 2 times, or how many ever times it is, 2,000 per trees. But if you go to 6.1, which is the enforcement and penalties section, if somebody does it illegally, their maximum fine is $2,000 per offense.
That,
If they go cut down 10 trees,
it's
they only get-
$2,000
they're gonna get,
plus B, the
Well,
mitigated part
plus
times
B,
two,
they gotta put those trees up.
plus
But it's not
C.
saying they're getting that multiplied by the fine, and C is at discretion of the court, which the court generally does
But
not
the
throw
2,000
somebody in jail for
under
cutting
the
down
one
a
you
tree.
talking about, 4-2, correct?
I'm talking the difference between 4.2, which is your
Correct.
ability as a
4.2 is-
contractor to go.
The 4-2 is,
Let me finish,
okay,
4.2 is your ability to go as a contractor or a homeowner or a person that owns the land, a landowner, and say, I wanna cut down this tree. It's gonna cost me $28,000 because it's worth 14 trees, and it's 14 times $2,000,
Because of a hardship.
which is what's under 4.2.
Okay,
But then we get to enforcement and penalties where somebody does cut down a tree illegally, and let's say they cut down this same exact tree illegally, their maximum fine per offense is $2,000.
no,
Now you talking about for the 14, or just?
you would add, and maybe it's
I
not
know.
worded right here,
You
Jim,
have
I
to-
don't know, I'm not.
It says
It
per
says a
offense, not
maximum
tree.
fine of $2,000.
That's their fine. Now they do have to plant
The requirement, and
trees.
you still gotta plant up to 2 times the amount of trees, which instead of 14 trees, you're looking at 28 trees, which is 28, you know,
Yeah, but
$56,000.
My point is it
Plus
should be a
potential of
maximum
up to
fine
6 months in jail.
of 2,000 times the number of trees that you would need to mitigate. 2,000
2,000 per tree.
Per tree.
Yeah, but
Per
I'm saying it should be 2,000. It should be just like 4.2, in that it should be 2,000 times 14 trees. If that's how many trees you gotta mitigate.
No, but,
And so you gotta pay 28,000,
I
plus you
think-
gotta put 14 trees on the ground,
I see
and
what
you're
you're saying.
you're threatened with
You-
6 months
you're-
in jail.
So the mitigated part would follow
Yep.
these guidelines, which goes in, you know, this is your trees required.
I'm saying we need a lot more teeth in that fine for the maximum fine for cutting down a tree illegally.
Well, I think maybe it's not worded right,
So
but it
can we
is, it's a
just-
$2,000 fine. Okay, we're gonna start with, I'm gonna fine you $2,000.
Right.
Then I'm gonna charge you 2 times the amount of trees is required to replace that tree. So if that tree, if you did it legally,
Yeah, but it doesn't say what size trees or anything like that. I
yeah, the
mean,
mitigated requirements.
I know, but it doesn't say what,
I think
that
what you're
doesn't say
saying is
what size tree. So
the trees,
if I can go buy oak trees for, just say,
$50.
$100 a piece.
No, it don't. It states the size of the oak tree in here, how big it's gotta be. It's gotta be 10 inches at 54 inches.
The
54
mitigated
inches
tree?
off the ground, it's gotta be 10 inch circumference.
The mitigated tree?
Yeah, it states in here somewhere.
Yeah, it's 4.1 is mitigation.
Huh?
4.1 is the mitigation. It defines what the size needs to be to purchase.
So
So-
that's based on that.
Yes.
How much is a tree that's that size? I don't know.
That's roughly probably a 90-gallon tree, 100-gallon tree, probably, I don't know, $500 to have it planted. You're probably looking at $1,500 to have it planted by somebody else, a professional, and it's gotta be upkept for a year and everything else.
So can we, so my
The
proposal.
2,000 is if I don't wanna take the time to go get Joe Blow and take my time to go get him, then I'ma just pay the city $2,000
Right,
for each
I
one
get
of
that,
these.
I get what 4.2 is.
Right.
I understand that. I'm
But
just saying,
you wanting about the fine.
we need to have, I think we need to have a tougher fine, tougher penalty for violating the rule, knowingly violating the rule, saying,
But I
okay, I can pay $2,000, and if I know a place I can go get some oak trees at that thing for $250 a tree, even if I gotta put 28 of them up, I'm not paying anywhere near 28 times or
But you're not gonna find this
$28,000.
tree for $250.
So let's say they're $500, it's still only a quarter of
But
the
then
price.
you gotta
of
have
the
someone
$2,000
plant them and
fine.
take care of them for a year.
But if a contractor's that big, he's probably got his own excavator to plant them himself. I mean, I'm just
So
saying.
you want more
They're
of
only
the
looking at
fine,
paying
you want
penalty
more of the
varies
fine.
on
All right, look,
what it-
What it's
what
gonna
it-
sound
what it is to mitigate. If you pay it, if you come up front and say, hey, I know I'm gonna take this big tree down, it's gonna cost me $28,000 because I gotta put, compared to 14 replacement trees.
and up to 6 months in jail.
We ain't never put nobody in jail
But-
for nothing, Bay St. Louis.
Very,
tried.
very rare.
Never.
Believe
if
me, I
I-
tried
that-
three
that
of them.
anybody has ever
I
gone to
don't
jail
care.
for cutting down a tree.
We never.
And it's very rare
that-
that, I mean,
that's
that's in
what it
almost
means.
every criminal statute out there, that is a fine and possible jail time. The court very, very rarely ever puts anybody in jail.
I can believe that.
Yeah,
So,
I
Not that we
my,
don't
my
try.
point
I
is,
know, we try, but
I understand that
So you want to see a bigger fine up front?
I think if
Plus
somebody
mitigate.
cuts down a tree intentionally, violates our ordinance intentionally, they should get hit with a whole hell of a lot more than if somebody
agree.
who comes in willingly and says, hey, I've gotta cut this tree down, how many does it compare to, and does it the right way, and they gotta pay 28,000, and somebody who does this comes in, they gotta pay 2,000 plus, you know, maybe they gotta put 28 trees on the ground at $500 a tree. That's what, whatever a
14,000.
quarter, no, it's not 14,000, it would be,
28
what,
at 500.
8,000, huh?
Yeah, well, plus your fine.
Yeah.
I got you. So you want more up to fine than $2,000.
I think it should be the size of the tree, just like 4.2. It should be the 2,000 times.
So you
how
want it
many
broke
every
down
trees
to
you
where
gotta
this tree's
mitigate.
gonna cost you this much, this much, this much, fine.
Well, I just think
Look, I agree with it.
maximum fine, 2,000 times the number of trees you are
Multiplied by number
responsible
of
to
trees.
mitigate,
Multiplied.
just like 4.2
Yeah,
reads.
just change
Take
that
the
to
mitigation
multiplied
part
by.
out trees,
No,
got
don't take the mitigation
Alright.
out.
Add the mitigation part to
Add that
6.1
language,
basically.
add that language to 6.1, right.
Yeah.
Where it
See,
says this,
Because this says
Each-
C
instead of the
section
fee
3.
shall be 2,000 multiplied by the number of trees required by mitigation, in 6.1, put the maximum fine shall be 2,000 multiplied by the number of trees required for mitigation.
Right, that's, I just wrote
Very
that on my
simple
paper.
cut and paste.
you got that?
Just wanna add,
Doug,
sir,
could we hear from Miss Anita?
let us,
If anybody,
we are, yeah, let us figure out what the heck we wanna do, then we'll ask her what she thinks.
well, for one, she's an attorney.
Yeah.
Retired still, but
So yet, so what,
That was my
Yeah.
main concern was the
I wrote the same thing on my paper right here.
And because section 6.1 also don't say to see section 4.1, it says see section 3. And 4.1 spells out the mitigation part.
Yeah.
So we,
But
are,
we kind of want to follow the mitigation guidelines and the penalty
B
guidelines.
might need to be updated to see section 3 and 4 or something.
Yes. Mhm.
so 4.2 says the developer or property owner is unable to plant mitigation trees on site may choose to remit a fee to the city of Bay St. Louis. So we're gonna plant trees and be responsible for
No,
it.
we're gonna pay somebody, that's what this $2,000 for, we're gonna pay somebody to come in and plant these trees.
And then, and maintain, give us
And
a year
ma-
guarantee or
yeah,
whatever,
and
like,
maintain them for a year.
okay.
Just so I'm clear, the mitigation factors apply to those that are determined to be of hardship and having to remove a tree legally, would still fall under the same parameters of this mitigation?
No.
So where is that spelled out of what, because I know you mentioned they'll do a few, like, can we get it spelled out to where
Alright.
if it is approved, here's what they've got to plant back? Because right now, I think it's 2 for 1, right? That's kind of how we do it, is you got to cut down,
Yeah,
Cut
if
down
you
a
gotta
tree,
remove it for hardship or whatever,
correct?
I think it is 2 for 1 now. And I think
But
that's,
but
okay.
I don't think that's.
you want it
factored.
spelled out.
Yeah, just similar
Right.
to what, I mean, if we want to do it in terms of what the number of mitigation trees are based on the circumference of the protected trees? Or would it be, or would that be different under this
It
scenario?
would be different, because again,
Is it hardship?
yeah,
I just don't want any
tree shouldn't
ambiguity
stop
in
the
it.
development of a piece of property, that's a lot.
An individual.
You're
And-
paying taxes on this property,
We're
it's
not-
your right to
yeah.
do it. But I don't think let's just say I got a 200-year-old tree in the middle of my lot, there's no way around it. I shouldn't have to pay $25,000
Yeah,
to remove this tree.
yeah, and I'm not suggesting penalizing, but I do think we need
But
to.
there needs to be a number,
Correct,
a number.
defined number of what, of what they're,
Got
and just to, and these aren't planted just to, obviously on the property. They would be up to the city's discretion of where these trees are going.
Well, we'd like to see some of them back on the property, and then if they can't plant them all back on the property, then we would designate the area, we'd be planting them at the depot back there, McDonald Field, other parks and everything, trying to get some, around town and all.
And I guess that brings up another question that we can't really take into account trees on properties when they subdividing it, but then when it becomes a legal lot of record, then they got a hardship. How's that? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah.
Shieldsboro,
Josh,
we just
actually,
let them
I
divide
think
the whole
you can.
subdivision,
I
now
think
the tree
you
may
can.
be on a lot
I
that's
think
in the
you
way.
can take them into, so that's why we make them mark the trees.
Yeah.
When we have a
So-
sketch plat, we
Yeah.
also make them mark the trees, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They do mark the tree, or they're supposed to mark the trees during sketch plat if I
But if
remember
it's,
correctly. But if basically, so if you saw a tree that was right in the middle, guys, you're justifiable to say, I'm not approving this because I don't agree with that line. You need to remove that lot line so we can save this tree.
okay.
So that's the point of making
I think
them.
we got Gene, I think we can cover Gene.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I'd like to hear
Kyle,
from
I got you too,
Mhm.
on your thoughts.
I'd like to hear from Miss Anita.
Yeah, that's fine.
Here,
Come on up. Price is right.
Anita Warner on behalf of the Live Oak Registry. I'm thrilled that we're gonna do something to improve our enforcement when people illegally remove trees. I'm also thrilled that we're going to ask the builder, developer, or whomever it is that is removing the trees, to replace them with appropriate sized trees. And a 10-inch tree is about like this, y'all, this high off the ground. That's gonna be a good sized tree. It's gonna have a good sized root ball, and it's probably gonna be in a 90 or 100-gallon bucket. So I think that's really good. I agree with Mr. Hoffman that there should be a more significant fine if somebody removes a tree illegally. But the fact that people remove trees, and it's often the developers like to come in and clear cut because it makes it easy. But we have big, nice oak trees. Okay, have them, if they have to for whatever reason, then have them put in an appropriate number of oak trees in that whole area. Doesn't have to be just that one lot. Think about it. I mean, we're talking about Shieldsboro, and we've all driven by, and in fact, I talked about that last time we had this meeting. But there are a lot of lots out there that don't have oak trees. So maybe you can, or get whomever's gonna be administering this, will say, okay, you're gonna, give us 14 oak trees, and we're gonna put them in the front of each house, or we're gonna put them on the street. I mean, that's what, when I lived in Texas, if you built a house, you had to install 3 trees. Didn't necessarily have to be an oak tree. Could be a really nice crepe myrtle, but you couldn't just build and leave everything. So that's my suggestion. I agree that we should make the fine more significant for people illegally removing them, and they usually do it on the weekend when nobody's working for the city. But this is a real step, and I also agree with Heather, this is a great step up from what we have now, because what we have now just doesn't seem to be working.
Thank you.
No, 2 trees is, nothing if they get caught.
So, one other thing, Mike, that I just wondering about, several places in here, it kind of says that it'll be at the discretion of the administration, or administration will determine mitigation requirements and things like that. Which,
One of them is the 181 and above.
well, no, I mean, but just
I can explain that one.
in several different places. I mean, 3.4 has it, a couple other ones. But I guess my concern is, obviously, not every administration is gonna be the same. So if one administration says, okay, you gotta replace this oak tree with 6 trees, and then the next administration comes in and says you gotta do it with 30 trees, there's no uniformity to it. Or if somebody says 0 trees, just take it out. I just wish we had a
I
little
think
more
that's what Kyle
uniformity in
asked, to put
definition.
something with
Well, he's looking for,
hard
right,
number in there.
definitions for hardship and things like that. But just, like I said, in a couple different places, it just says at the discretion of the administration to determine whether it's to determine the mitigation standard, or whether it's a hardship or not, or different things. And I'm not pointing fingers at this administration in particular, I'm just looking at all future administrations, including councils or whatever, going forward, because everybody's different and everybody has a different opinion on
How would you like to
this nature.
change that?
Well, I think it just
Or
needs to
add
be
to it.
spelled out, whether it's spelled out by this chart in some sort of way based on the circumference of trees, and, if it's found to be a hardship, it would be half of the number of mitigated trees, or
Okay.
something of that nature, but
Well, we
not,
can,
not left to the discretion of
we can change this document how we
some
want
new
it,
officer
changed.
that's holding that
Yeah.
office.
and review it with the administration and say, this is this is our documents. These are the rules. We make the rules, they administer them, and they help us write them, right?
Gene, the one I was talking about on 3.2, the very
Right,
bottom, that
the
181.
181 and above.
What that is, we can go on for days and list these every 30-inch circumference.
No, right, I know.
Keep going up, but it'll be based on the same formula that these trees was, and, with that, I forgot how you take that measurement and multiply it out to see what equals to that, and that's how these numbers came over, how many trees it takes to replace this.
Well, and if it's every 30 inches, we're gonna add 2 more trees or whatever.
No, it's
I mean, I'm just saying,
give or take 2 or
whatever
3
that
trees.
standard is, I think we need to enumerate that standard,
And that's what it would
not
be
put it as a
moving
discretion.
forward under that part on that. The other one, we'll spell that out on 3-4, you know, what it means,
Okay, cool.
Now, 4-1,
4-1.
it says, okay, you gotta have a minimum circumference of 10 inches measured at 54 inches above ground level.
Correct.
But
That's
the next,
pretty, I think that 54 inch, I think that's pretty basic in the world, yeah.
but the
Is
next
that
part,
54, okay,
the next part says you must have a minimum height of 8 feet
correct.
at the time of planting, so,
We don't want a 54-inch tree that's that big, that's only 55 inches tall. It's gonna be at least 8 feet probably. Most of the trees, is that a fair statement to say? Anything in that's gonna be at least 8 foot tall.
okay.
Also, it says, the Bay St. Louis administration shall approve species selection for the mitigation of trees. You need to spell out the trees that you're gonna put in there. That needs to be live oak or whatever type of oak tree that you want. I don't wanna put a popcorn tree in there.
No,
you
I
know.
don't think that's a, no.
It's either gotta be a live oak or a magnolia, depending on what you took out.
Yeah, I would say to that.
I'd rather live oak.
Where's that at,
Magnolia.
Gary?
4-1,
Third.
Okay.
dot 3.
Well, but magnolias are protected under this as well, so.
Yeah.
So basically, we're
Basically what it
protecting the live oak and the magnolia.
Correct.
That's what this ordinance is.
Yep.
Okay.
If there's a tree
Not
you
the
wanna
water
add to it, a cypress tree or whatever else, it can be added.
All right, so do we wanna, do something with that section, that bullet, number that 4-1, third bullet?
You want that spelled out, Gary?
Yes, sir, please. That way there's no question about the species of the tree.
That's true, somebody
Can-
fight you for a popcorn tree.
Can y'all, do you mind emailing whatever,
why don't we
look
edit
at it, and then,
We're gonna add and bring it
As
back
well.
next meeting.
and send it to the
Yeah.
council, ask them for more revisions before we come back in 2 weeks.
and if you have
Yeah.
any thoughts to email
sounds
them.
We've got a lot of comments, I think they can
Well,
put it.
yeah, come out, I mean, honestly, I didn't see this.
Hey,
because
Gene,
it
can
was
you,
just
can
a-
you
added to the
kinda
agenda.
bring everything down into a rough draft form?
Well, if they added it and send it out, yeah, I'll bring it.
So this will so in Municode, right, we're still using Municode? So what does this replace in, so Municode
That,
20
that's the
section
thing. So
22.62?
let's just, so some of this is going to go into Municode because not everything in Municode needs to come out, like construction near trees, trimming
Right,
trees.
right. That's what I was
So
wondering.
what you need to do is add in a mitigation portion under the section 22.
Okay,
So some of what so let's just, hear it.
Yep.
take
yeah, I
this
just wanted,
into-
where's it go here?
Yeah,
Because I
it
didn't
will
know,
go into
we're not taking
section,
everything out.
it'll go into chapter 22, article 3, division 1.
Okay,
So yes,
the rest of the stuff will stay.
yes.
All right,
So some of it may need to go or be tweaked, because what you have now is not necessarily bad at all. It doesn't go far enough. And so that's where you need some, okay, what happens if you cut them down? That's the definites that need to be added. You know, there's parts in here that's clear and there's parts that's not. So that's where we need to head with this.
all right. So we will amend or update that section 22.
Chapter
Division
22, article 3.
Yeah, so she'll add this into there. It confused me, we got a standalone ordinance, then we say refer back to Municode. Well, I got a standalone ordinance that doesn't match with Municode, and I just,
Well, no, it would go, so if you pass an ordinance, it would be put in Municode, it would be put in 3. So what Municode is supposed to do is go in and edit whatever does not fit and place it where it needs to be.
Alright.
And so I think this had the last language, it automatically repeals whatever's
okay,
contradictory.
cool.
So
10-4.
that's what happens there.
All right, so put this back on the agenda, Ms. Bourgeois?
Yes.
Mr. Jean will work on it, we can all work on it.
Oh, one other thing, Doug.
Sir?
So like in your definition, it says mitigation trees. That would be a good spot to put to list the type of
Okay, awesome.
trees that can
And
be
I
used.
don't think cypress is not a bad tree, but.
Yeah, I think a cypress is a great,
You know, magnolia, cypress, whatever, not popcorn.
but cypress has to grow with a lot of water.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
If
we
you
can
got a-
add cypress to it.
If you got a pet tree you wanna add,
I'd be
let them know.
ticked.
If not,
We
cypress,
put a cypress tree
magnolias and
on the
live oak.
outside and all the roots went into my yard,
Cypress are
but,
pain in
you
the
know,
neck.
that's,
Yeah.
I had cypress in one of my houses and I hate it.
Alrighty then, any more discussion on that? We'll bring it
We'll
back
get that
next.
back.
Alright, thank y'all so much.
The only other thing I got is reminder Thursday, splash pad, we're gonna do a kickoff for the, pickleball courts and all. You know, try to fit some times and dates in and all, and we're at 8 o'clock at the splash pad Thursday morning. Also, I gave everybody a copy of A Night in Blue. That's coming up on the 22nd, something that is starting. Diablo, I think, is the one, and what this is for our fallen officers throughout. I think it's on the coast, and they're gonna start raising money, so the money will be there and all allowed and all. Chief wants to speak on also Wednesday night this week, 5 to 7. There'll be a kickoff party gathering or whatever at Dan B's up there. So I know the chief wanted to speak a minute on it. If
Kickoff
you'll
party
allow
for
him.
this.
Kickoff party for this, Mike?
Yes.
Council, they're actually having a kickoff party tomorrow evening at Dan B's for 5 to 7. And the concept of this organization is, it's not only for law enforcement officers, this is for all first responders. Be a mechanism used in the state when there's a tragedy in the line of duty death, whether it's fire related, law enforcement related, emergency medical technicians. So their main driving force, a gentleman named Zach Grady. He is a newly elected member of the House of Representatives out of the 115th district. He is very similar to our Brent Anderson in our district here. And right after he was elected in April, he authored a bill that authorized municipalities, cities, government, state to provide compensation for those first responders killed on the line of duty, where it allows for the city or the state organization to actually make 60 days worth of that employee's payment to the beneficiary. So that's huge because we run into that in our field where the beneficiary is in limbo for quite a while until things pass. So just want to describe what's going on with it. It will have staying power in the state, and what they'll do is they'll leave a legacy for the fallen first responders in the form of scholarships from here on out and instant relief with other areas.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, council business. Mr. Hoffman?
So I had, lady on Almond Avenue that is across the street from the current daycare, splash pad, and where the pickleball courts are going in, asking me about upgrading that speed bump to more of a speed hump, similar to what we have by Holy Trinity, because she's concerned the speed bump that's there does not slow down a lot of people necessarily. And I'm not sure if the same thing's being thought on Carroll, but with the courts going in, traffic's going to increase, so maybe worth looking at putting in some sort of different type of speed bump there, whether it's one of those raised asphalt type things that are much larger and wider, or something
And we tried to get a guy to come in and build
sturdier
one of
like the
them
one.
and all. Just hadn't worked out getting them in here and all. I think it is.
People that do our people that do our asphalt patches, they can't do the speed humps?
He's
tables.
supposed to be putting us one together. He is. We had someone else. He's supposed to try to put us one together and let us
Okay.
test it.
Yeah, I mean, because I know they do they do a great job on patching. I didn't know if
Yeah.
they could do the
And what it is, it's just a big,
speed table.
Right.
I think's what they call them.
I think they're usually maybe 3 feet wide.
Yeah,
or something.
they are.
Is there anything less invasive? Because I mean, the one by the school is great because it does, but I know
It's very-
you hit
There's
that
no happy
thing more
medium,
than,
huh?
and I just didn't know if that area is more traffic, and if there's emergency vehicles. I mean, you hit that thing going, even the speed limit.
10 miles an hour, you hit.
You're gonna have some damage.
I know.
See, and the way they are, they're built for your speed at your road, on your road. So 25 mile an hour is not gonna be as big as that one.
Right.
Being right there
That's
in
a
that
10 mile
zone.
an hour speed bump for a
Yeah,
school
that
zone.
makes
That's probably a 10 mile an
Exactly.
hour speed bump.
Now, the other question was regarding the tennis courts over at the high school. Have we gotten any headway on working out a deal with them to allow those to the public?
I think Heather's been working with them, trying to get something put together on that.
We keep asking.
So we'll continue. I know Brett's been
All we can
asking
do
about
is ask. We've asked. Brett was actually Brent was telling me
Brent.
yesterday, excuse me, that he had reached out. I know you've reached out, so, I mean, I don't know what else to do. Riso has met with them. I've talked to multiple people in the
Well, I don't
administration.
understand what the problem is, cause I was at the meeting. They said that they wanted insurance, split the cost, and some video surveillance. So what's the deal?
Getting them to come back and confirm on that and work out.
Can we send them a specific letter stating we agree to these terms and we're ready to sign a contract?
Well, they were supposed,
Believe that we
when I met
have.
out there with Zach and their IT guy, we're looking at fencing and controlled access. They were supposed to put together a quote and send it to us. We'd never received that. I've followed up with Zach since then multiple times. It's like, where are we? What do we need? We're not getting that.
We will see where we at.
All right.
Can we have the superintendent of education at our next meeting to ask about this?
We can see if she can
I
come.
mean, you can invite
Put
her.
her, did you invite her to a meeting?
I definitely would not just go add her to your agenda.
No, if
That's
we can
what you're
invite her.
supposed to do. I
No, if
would
we can
send
invite her.
I would pick up the phone and call her.
Mike, invite her. Please invite her and let's see, and
We can see
let's
what it is.
go to the top and figure out where it is. And I know it's been a pain to try to figure out all the logistics and legality. And I true, I understand, when we had the kids cut the nets on the old courts back, I don't know how many nets we bought for the old courts when they were open to the public. But again, the taxpayers, by St. Louis, pay the school taxes and we pay our regular taxes and we should have some use and we should have some buy-in, right? If something happens, but it ought not be an act of Congress for us to try to get something worked out. And I know everybody's been trying, but it's just like, let's quit trying and let's get the person here that can do something and see if she'll be willing to, let's write something down and approve it. Thank y'all. I know we've been working on this for 100 years and
Well,
we all
met
know.
with them a
there's
year
a-
ago.
There's
And, Mike, I think you were there, right?
Well, yeah, that was
Riso?
a positive meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's liabilities to both sides. There's also been
Right.
turnover at the school district, so, we talked to one person, that person gets promoted, then there's somebody else that comes in that's now got that job, so.
Right.
I mean, I think that's been some of it with them, is getting people in positions to know who's doing what. And I guess it's just them ripping off the Band-Aid and being
Right.
willing to do this, because it is exposure for them that right now they don't have to have. So, I can understand why it would be easy for them to say no. Doesn't mean I agree with them saying no,
Could-
it's just,
Could we survey Patrick Christian, Long Beach, Gulfport school districts and ask them if they have tennis courts, or does the public use them? Is there any kind of interlocal agreement between the municipalities and the schools for those allowed uses?
I can speak on Gulfport. Gulfport has multiple shared facilities and different use agreements with the county and the city.
Okay,
But again, all of this has been relayed to our school district, and so me relaying that message does absolutely,
so let's do something
Hasn't
small
done
like the
much.
pass.
Hasn't
Apples
done
to
much.
apples, Long Beach, apples to apples, if maybe they have a similar, I don't know, I'm just,
I feel like Pass and Long Beach have their own tennis courts, don't they?
They do have some.
I
Yeah.
think the cities have their own tennis
okay.
courts.
I'm just trying to get some neutral ground that we can start with.
Past
All right, put this back on agenda, tennis courts next meeting,
They
please.
went?
They have them at War Memorial Park.
Yeah, they have their
that-
own.
their
That's
own.
what I feel like Long
Okay.
Beach does
They got
too.
a few of them over there.
Yeah, but they got them at the high school too, and I think they let them use them there as well.
Yeah, so let's just, I don't know, just trying to find some neutral ground we can at least start with.
Yeah.
Right? All right, anything else, Mr. Hoffman?
No,
Mr. Reed?
thank you.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, they turned the splash pad on at MLK Park, and it's running, but it's not going through the cycle. I was out there the other day, and I stayed there about 20 minutes, and the big bucket is not dumping, but there's something that they just need to go on the inside. Because sometime when they winterize it, sometimes fuses will blow, and so when it goes through that cycle, those particular fuses are not working, and so it won't hit certain things. Also, I met with the rec director, and hopefully sometimes this month or next month, we wanted to get the permission of the city to go ahead and paint the 2 courts, basketball courts at MLK Park, and then to the second court is to get it, we'll get it striped, and we're not asking the city to, I think the city has to paint, but we'll get it
I
striped.
think it's still over there, hopefully.
Yeah, it's still over there, check. And we're gonna pay to, I got a group that's gonna go ahead and paint it, and then a group that's gonna go ahead and pay to get it striped for pickleball and basketball, the second court. So, so I'll probably bring it up the next meeting, or, you know, get a motion from the council, from you all to approve it. And then we'll go ahead and, we'll give you all a date when we're gonna get started. That's all, Mr. President.
Salvo?
I'm good.
Lewis?
Yeah, Mayor, just to follow up, I know we spoke earlier today just about that property that's being cleared, kind of between Ramonita and the other. I kept getting calls, and I spoke with Ricky. Can we just follow up, because there's a concern from the neighbor at 115 that they were going over a natural drainage ditch and kind of filling that part in, because that's what goes into that main watershed.
They went and checked it. Ronnie went out there and checked it and all. He'll be bringing a dozer back in there to level things up if his tracks been over, you know, blocked, but they're not.
It's not inhibiting
No, they
any.
have not brought any dirt in.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, anything like that. They're not going through. I'm not sure, you know, I think they hollering about, you know, fill wetlands in and this and that. That has not happened and all. But they was out there, Ronnie and Ricky, I think, went out there today and checked it and everything. And, you know, they're gonna leave it to where we can still get in there and clear it up and all, and cut the grass. But the main thing is, you know, they wanted that privacy there and didn't wanna get close to the ditch, you know? And that's what one of them's concern was, you know, they taking down the trees along the ditch, which is not protect, you know, it's just trash trees that they removing.
Mhm.
You know, they're leaving more than what, you know, protected trees, they're leaving pecan trees, I think they're leaving some birch trees in there, or maple or something, big trees and all. So then, you know, they've left some trees in there as well that, you know, that he has left while he's clearing there, and, you know, it's been okay so far with the the property owner and all.
Okay.
But they go by there on a regular basis, checking to make sure, you know,
Okay.
and, you know, nothing's being brought in or anything.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. No block?
I'm good.
Good. One thing, talked to Heather last meeting about sketch plats, checklist being included in all P and Z packages. We can get,
I addressed that with Jeremy, I told him to start doing that.
yeah, and they need to be completely filled out. They're not applicable in A, because at some of the last meeting that I was very confused about, there was the sketch plats, and to me, it was woeful, inadequate information on all of them. But, and we approved them, but I just wanted to, you know, hey, let's make sure sketch plats, there's wetland delineation, there's trees, there's, titles, you know, whatever we said a sketch plat has, please make sure we annotate that it's on there and correct.
I addressed that with him
Yep.
after the last meeting and told him in the comment
Thank you.
section, if there's something that is not applicable, put why it's not.
Yeah, and that's
applicable,
fine, I
put-
just, to me,
I sat down and had probably a 30-minute meeting with him.
yeah, so we agreed to go with it, but we also agreed to have the information that required, you know, documented, that if we was gonna move forward, we'd have all the information in front of us. Thank y'all. Real quick, this new Civic computer system does not allow split screen today. They're gonna check on it. If it does not allow split screen, can we get 5 monitors with cables? So we can have split screens up here. We're working on our agenda, plus have our working documents open. Is that possible to look at,
Look into that.
what's his name?
Mark.
Mark. Because you just can't, you gotta close your screen, open another document up, you don't have your notes, and I personally, I'm lost without my notes. That's Mark. If we can't get a split screen with Civic, then let's see if we can at least get the,
Yeah, we reached out to Mark, find out about the notes.
yeah, the connections to
That's not a question we asked.
go side by sides. All right, next item on the agenda, project updates. Jason's not here. Anything new on projects? Public forum. Mr. Tammy Curtis Guy is gone. Kathleen
Hey.
Monju.
One thing on updates, next meeting, we hope to be able to go out for RFQs for the depot, for engineering, for Road, doing the parking, you know, over by the community house, you know, upgrades over there, upgrades out in front of the depot and across the street at Stanislaus
It's all
over there
part of-
now,
okay.
which is all, will all be covered by the grant and everything, cause we wanna get this grant finished and closed out. We
Okay.
still have a little money left, so we'll go out for engineering for that as well.
Okay, cool.
Just a heads up on that.
All right,
Thanks.
Ms. Kathleen Monju, Mr. John Griffin. No good? We're good? All righty then, consent agenda.
Yep, skipping me?
Only question
Oh,
I had.
no, yeah, hold on. City clerk's report, I'm sorry.
Gotta pay the bills.
Rolling along, rolling along.
Gary.
Yep.
Motion to approve the Bay St. Louis docket of claims 24-028 dated June 4, 2024, in the amount of $559,888.08.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Salvo.
I didn't receive any comments or questions.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hoffman, any discussion?
Yeah, I had discussion and just a point of clarification. I think I'd reached out about a week or so ago, just clarifying one of the general legal bills, legal services, and kind of how that's, and I know Smith just walked out, but if we can get further clarification of how those items don't fall under the retainer, it's about $3,900 worth of charges.
Yeah, I was looking at that also.
I mean, I just wanted to kind of get some
I think it was litigation.
Litigation.
I mean, it looks like there's a good bit that's lease agreement preparation for actually the sportsplex.
I mean, you have one with a teleconference with the deputy chief.
That's not what I saw, maybe.
And so, and just to clarify, I guess, on the SWIFT grants, so some of those charges are with the SWIFT grants, so that is gonna be, will recur.
on
we'll
this
see
one
those
here?
recurring.
Kyle?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's,
No, page 2 of us, no. That's the total. It doesn't give you, breaking down detail.
and I get if some of it is related to a ongoing legal issue, but I just was, again, curious on some of the lease agreement, the preparation for that, how that doesn't fall under the retainer, some of these other items.
All right, y'all, please make note of that. We can adjust it if as needed. We won't discuss it.
Yeah, I guess whenever Ms. Smith returns.
Oh, okay, all right.
You're gonna have to pull it out, Doug, if you wanna keep moving.
I just mean, wait, I mean, and let them research and pull it and update it.
That was stuff that was outside of the retainer. I believe Kyle sent me a question on that a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave him a response. I mean, I can't sit here and quote to you exactly what that is off the top of my head.
So the lease preparations, that does not fall under the retainer, so.
No, that's real estate transactions.
So anything related to real estate does not fall under the retainer. It would
Mhm.
be.
Yeah.
And then the SWIFT grant, those are, we'll expect to see those now. Is it any federal grants, or is it just specific to this one, or?
Federal grants.
So we need to decide if we're gonna pay for SWIFT grant.
Get the grant administrator, and then we'll keep moving forward and figure out.
But in the meantime, we're gonna pay for SWIFT grant?
What do you mean paying for SWIFT grant?
Did you say some of it SWIFT grant?
Yeah, there's,
Well, some of my fees are, sure,
Yeah.
and that's dealing with, I mean,
Right.
dealing with whether, the reason that I'm comfortable charging them is because, I mean, the city is the applicant. So, I mean, right now, that is your grant that we're having to deal with.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, a lot of this, over the past 2 years, I've not charged for, but it's getting to the point that it is taking up an excessive amount of my time. And I think it's important for each of you to know that and to see it.
Yep.
and so that's not reimbursable for the city then, the work done from our attorneys on that.
It possibly could be,
If we can go back and amend our grant.
if the grant agreement,
Right. Okay, let's
yeah,
amend our
if we
grant
can get
agreement.
more money put in.
All right. More questions on the docket?
What about the, with like Alvin Kingston and stuff, that's. and David-
Is it a lawsuit?
No. Corey Smiley?
That's all our city court. And he has an attorney involved in that. That's not just your day-to-day And again, I would discourage you from reading line items off of my bills just in public, because you never know what they're gonna flag, and all those are privileged, but I'm happy to discuss anything on any of those bills with any of you at any given time. So I want that to be clear. I'm not wanting to discuss anything. I just,
Okay.
you know, you never know. Once that privilege is broke, it's broke. I can't protect it anymore.
All right, any more discussion on the docket of claims? Motion to approve?
I think we already have
Oh.
one.
Motion by Mr. Salvo, second by Mr. Hoffman. Other Hoffman. Any more discussions?
The other end.
Let's vote the motions.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion passed 7-0.
Motion to approve docket of claims 24-031 special in the amount of $156,036.81, dated June 4, 2024.
Motion, Mr. Salvo,
Second.
second, Mr. Hoffman. Discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion passes 7-0. Consent agenda.
On the change order for the, we gotta use the same contractor, we couldn't just get quotes from a local contractor for fencing or what?
So, you're talking about for the pickleball?
Yes.
So that's actually for the groundwork. So it's putting your sleeves in, because I don't think that's not your fencing, right? It's-
Fencing too.
It does have the
It's
fencing?
That's everything.
Okay, I couldn't remember what we ended up.
It's sleeves for benches and fencing is
What
what
it is, it-
And
it's
fencing.
in that tension slab and everything, they gonna have the sleeves where all it's gotta be, the pipe for the fencing sake, just insert it down through there. Instead of being on the outside of the slab, it's gonna be on the edge of the slab in some. Same thing with the benches, instead of having to worry about drilling through and hitting one of them cables and put bolts down in there, this is gonna be a sleeve that the benches just fit in and,
I was just checking, it seemed kinda high for
yeah, it does.
200 something for the fence for $20-something thousand.
But that also includes that.
includes the benches?
Yeah.
The benches were more than you would, I think about half of that is in the benches.
Benches is way more than what,
yeah, that went.
than what
Alright.
we was looking, but these benches that slide in there and all this.
Cause I thought it said that it included the things for the benches, but not the benches itself, but maybe I misread it.
I'd have to look, we've talked so many different angles, I don't know which one.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions on consent agenda? Any motion?
Motion.
Motion approved. Consent agenda items 8 through 25. Motion, Mr.
God's
Sa-
coming.
Motion Salvo, second. Who second?
Second.
No block. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote the motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion passed 7-0. Need a motion to spread reports on the minutes. Motions number 26 through 34.
Make a motion.
Motion, Mr. No block.
Second.
Second, Mr. Reed. Discussion?
Discussion, so I noticed we have some severe, the, we got some losses in the harbor. Have you all looked at that?
On a cash balance report?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so they, Mike, explain why, what those negative numbers, Mr. Russo?
I think you explained
Waiting on
last meeting.
reimbursements, huh? Is that
What,
right?
in Harbor?
If I remember last time, it was a matter of reimbursements,
Mhm.
the actual cash balance. That's her showing those interfund transactions. I'm not looking at it right now. Hold on.
Yeah. So those are not negative balances, they're,
No, she puts an alert on there.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, you're like, you're in trouble.
well, we asked about this last meeting.
Like
Had
the
same-
first one on the harbor, the
this was-
364, that's the next payment next year, showing that, if something don't come through, then we're gonna have to have that payment for next year. This
So-
one's already removed and taken out in that one.
So after the last meeting,
Wait,
this
she took
came
a
up.
payment out that we don't need till next year?
No, it's just showing where it will come out. We've not taken it out. But
So-
next year, we have a note due on that harbor.
Correct.
And when we took this, we anticipated getting started on all that work and all, and be reimbursed and all. But with FEMA's back and forth with FEMA and all, we've had to pay one, but this is showing where next year, we'll have to make a, whatever it is.
That was that grant, Harbor grant,
Yeah,
I
three
mean,
hundred,
Harbor
Just a loan.
loan, Harbor loan.
360-something thousand, I think it is.
364, yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, she added that column, whatever it is, the interfund loan and due to over the last couple of months. And that was something that came out of our audit, and just so y'all see that, that's the stuff that's on the balance sheet that you don't really get to see. So that was something she added, just to keep you aware, hey, this is out there. It's not part of your checkbook.
Just
Of
cause you
your
got
true
400,000,
balance.
don't mean
Right.
you got 400,000
Right.
Yeah.
to spend.
So you're not,
Good question,
That
because I
negative
asked
balance.
about that last meeting, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
no, that's not a negative number,
And-
I'm like, what the hell, you know?
It just says it
I'll let y'all know, I don't like this report. I would much rather give y'all a balance sheet that's printed from the statement, or out of the computer. This takes hours for her to and anytime you touch a spreadsheet, I think there's room for error.
Yep.
Just makes me nervous. So I'll go ahead and, I mean, not to mention the time it takes. I'm just trying to be efficient. I would rather find a balance sheet in Encode to say, print all the checkbooks, here they are.
Right.
You know, or give you actual copies of the bank statements. But every time somebody touches one of those buttons, you hit a wrong number, it goes ka-tink, and it just scares me. So I like, I'm gonna make the computer print it, push it.
All right, more discussion, let's vote to motion.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed 7-0. Attorney's report, anything new?
There's an order of dismissal for that Dito case, just wanted you guys to know that that's gone. We've got the redistricting ordinance that we should approve tonight, and then the other one is the Valentine's complaint that came in or petition, it came in on Friday. So I haven't gotten a chance to do a deep dive in it, but I just wanted you guys to know that it was out there. Word travels fast when residents start complaining, and it's much like the same premise to, this one is filed by Valentine, I can't remember if it's Valentine LLC, I have to pull it up, but that's that Frank Zhang group that's wanting to do that, so that's what that one is about, and Steve Benvenuti is representing him in that transaction. And then, so as far as
sorry,
Go ahead.
same process though with SWK, the previous one. And it was the official notice started going out, or the city got noticed Friday, was it?
the city has
Friday, I
served.
think it
Got served, okay,
Yes.
okay. And there's, well, I don't wanna talk about the other one, but the same premise holds in terms of putting in an objection within that time frame.
Yeah, it's the exact
Okay.
same statute, everything's filed under. I mean, attorneys are taking different approaches, but that's
Yeah,
just, I think it works.
and you may not be able to answer this, but just, again, generically, because I get the question a lot, and it came up on the other one too. Of course, anyone can put in an objection letter or tack onto an objection letter, and they would essentially, if they choose not to have an attorney represent, they would just essentially have the ability, and when it gets a chance to represent or speak on behalf of their objection letter, but you have to submit one in order to speak, is that
Well,
correct?
Yeah, so they're gonna have to, and again, Kyle, I can't sit here and tell people how to, they would have to enter
Yeah.
their appearance.
Yeah.
And I'm not really, and they have to,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On that,
but is the chancellor just gonna say, is anyone, like we do, is anyone here to speak? No.
You have to officially put in an objection.
Yeah.
with the redistricting, have we,
Are we through with the other, we're moving on to redistricting now?
And, so we'll just.
Sorry,
as we
Mr.
did-
Jeffrey, I just don't wanna confuse my brain.
As we did
Subdivision to,
as we did the other, we'll just digest what the information is and as a city, see what they're
Yeah.
doing too, and then come up with.
correct. And I
yeah.
looked at that plat, there's some things in there that I think is missing on the plat, and,
Okay.
kind of the same ground, same process.
okay, with the redistricting,
Mhm.
how long, did we put it in the paper and put it on the website?
I
And,
do not think it was in the paper.
Put the full article on it.
Oh, you did do an article on it in the paper?
Jeffrey Lee.
Okay,
okay,
good.
I'm okay with it, and I haven't had no pushbacks from the, citizens or anything. But I wanted to see if we can, maybe just push it off till the next meeting and, then adopt it.
Okay. The only reason that I'm going to strongly encourage you to adopt this is, it is June 4th. your qualifying starts in
January.
January. So we've got a lot of work to do to get all of these maps updated. The Kendra Nikes is calling regularly to see, so we're now up against a compliance
So
issue. So,
It'd still be about 6 months out.
I mean, we're cutting it. I wouldn't tell you that if it weren't, because this is, what, 2 agendas or 3
we can-
agendas that is going on?
I'm just asking for a couple more weeks in the
Yeah,
next
I mean,
meeting.
ultimately, that's y'all's call. I'm just telling you, you're running now, you're running against the clock. Time is not on your side at
So
this point.
Mr. Reed, what are your concern, I mean, if we move it 2 weeks, or we're doing, I'm just asking, are we gonna do something different, or we're going to,
No, I don't think we're gonna do anything
is there
different.
more communication
just
on your
wanted
part,
to-
or?
I just wanted to give, especially, our citizens, just more time to know that it's there, see what we're doing. And like I said, I've had no pushback from them.
Right.
But, I've had some say, well, what are we adopting? Where is it expanding? And I'm telling them where to go to look. So if I can, give them a couple more weeks, they're gonna get the same information. They just need to go and, look at it.
It'll be 7 months till January, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Adopt in July, 7 months till January.
So just, so
I
to
mean, I
tell
think
you
it's
the
Kendra's
process,
office is where,
Kendra's gotta go in
Right,
and
she's,
yes.
literally, she's been
reprogram.
calling
Kind
for
of
8
logistics,
weeks.
right?
She has to go in and reprogram
The voters.
all of the voter registrations, all of the voter, I mean, this is not a
Change
day. So what you risk here is if for some reason we can't make it to her schedule, or if she runs into any sort of hiccup, I mean, what we're gonna have to do is manual
You
voting,
think 2
manual.
weeks is going to
counting.
stall her?
I mean, she's calling,
She's
she's
calling
been calling
regularly.
for months now, asking. And so that's what at the last meeting, I said, guys, okay, if you're pushing this, you really need to. At the workshop, I explained the importance. When we brought it up in council meetings, I've explained, when I'm met with a couple of you, I've explained that, time wasn't of the essence.
I can call Kendra tomorrow and tell her, just give me 2 weeks.
Look, again,
Yeah.
that's y'all's, it's just the other side that, I mean, it's my job to sit here and tell you what you're up against, and also tell you from a constituent standpoint, some of these ward lines are moving, and, so people need adequate time to decide whether or not they're going to run for office. I don't know what that is, I've never ran for office, you guys may, I don't know how long you thought about it before you made the decision to run. But that's the other side, is that the closer and closer you get to election, people are gonna say, wait a second, you only gave me a few months to make this decision.
The only,
Jeffrey, I went ahead and posted this on Facebook extensively for the last 2 weeks. I posted all the
I
maps.
shared it a couple of times after you.
only thing,
And you shared it too?
It's
The
been on
city
the
did
city's
as well.
website,
Put it on
it's been on the
Facebook
city's
as well.
Facebook
You know
page,
what
it's been
people
in the
gotta
Seacoast
understand, this
Echo.
is by law, this isn't the city wanting to do this, this
Right.
is by
Right.
law, the redistricting.
Exactly.
You know,
My only,
also, what is shown out there is an equal 6 districts, whatever that number is, 15%, what was it? Something like that.
1547.
But that's after everything's been moved and everything. Before it wasn't out there to what the districts were, again, 4 was, up here, had to lose. 3 was here, had to gain. 2 had to gain some, 1 had to lose some. 6 pretty much stayed the same, and 5 had to gain. So when they were looking at that, some of the questions, I think, was, well, why do we have to do that? It's already, balanced out and everything. Well, that's not true. That's the balanced out one. That was the final what's being presented now. That's not what was before, But, and again, it's by law that
Right.
we have to do this, not the city or any of us, again,
well, are
And-
we
what
gonna
else-
change anything 2 weeks from now? If
I don't know
something
that
comes
we're
up,
good at
I
this
mean,
point.
You can't change anything.
That's my
There's not
question.
many options. It's not like you can debate it. I mean, y'all saw with the exercise when Ken was here and clicking the census blocks. You've got to stay adjacent to other ones. I mean, and I think we gained something from that exercise. I think y'all were able to identify one block to make an adjustment.
5 people
Right.
different.
But
And I,
it's not like you can come and debate and try to make changes. I mean, that's what it is.
we had 2 options in Ward 3, all right? And, I was showing my constituents this option, that option, and I've been trying to get the word out. meeting with them, talking with them, and thing is, go look at the maps that we posted, look at our website. Again, the article in the paper, I don't think anything's gonna change. I'm all right with it, you know, I just want them to be more aware of it. So,
Councilman Reed, maybe, and something I'd like to maybe get some input and feedback is, and it shouldn't delay, but is it possible, and this might be with Ms. Nikkei's, that those that are affected or that change wards, can they get a letter sent that this is now your voting precinct, this is your councilman, so that they know, because I don't want to run into is on election day, you think you're still in Ward 4, and now you've been going to Ward 3, and that
How
could.
you do that?
So,
I mean, don't we have the addresses identified in the presentation of who's gonna be moving?
yeah, but in order to get it, what you'd probably do is still send something out with, like, your utility bills. I mean, those go out. There's gonna be new voter ID cards that are sent. There will be
I
publication in
think
the
that would
paper.
have to
There
go
will
through
be,
Kendra's office would generate all that.
Kendra's office
So
will generate stuff. I
They'll
mean,
send a new voter ID once those that are impacted, or, I mean.
I'll have
if
to
it's
ask
changed.
Kendra or the Secretary of
Can you-
State how
I'll make a note
exactly
to
that
call her
works,
tomorrow and
but
ask her. I don't know how she does it.
it's definitely gonna be, and that's another reason why you want this process to take place as early as you can, so you can start telling these people you have changed. You guys can start making phone calls. Caitlin's aware of it. Have it hanging in City Hall, just to let people know. Put your new words out here. It's just an education process that we're gonna have to go through for everybody.
and there was one more thing, Ms. Heather.
Mhm.
I know the numbers says that, you know, there's basically no majority ward. With those numbers, I mean, in the previous meetings, you basically told us that they were considering one race, the African Americans. But when you put together all the minorities, then it supersedes. Now, could you bring me back something to show that it just constitutes one race rather than if it's challenged in Supreme Court, the Supreme Court say, well, yeah, you do have a case here that, you know, looking at all the minorities in that district, it does constitute a minority majority.
So the way the court works, Councilman Reed, is they only look at that minority group. So in your case, they look at the black voter age population. So say if we were in another district that we do not have this in Bay St. Louis, but say if it were of Latino descent or Asian descent, then that is what they're looking at when they're talking about the majority district. They look at that race as a whole. So in our situation, it's the majority group that could be make up. They don't look at majority minorities from all the different groups.
Could you bring me that? Can you show me where that's at?
In the law or the?
Yeah, in the law, because I've heard another attorney say something different on that, and that's why I wanted you to bring that back to me.
I can do that, but I will also preface this by saying, I believe, if I recall correctly, we actually looked at that during our workshop, and even if you include it, there was no, your other minorities in your ward, I don't think moved the numbers. Like they were barely non-existent. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but
It's like
didn't.
48 Caucasian, 45 African American, and the
40.
rest of them.
Didn't we get it to 40s?
So what we have today attached is the benchmark and population. Both of those are benchmarks. It's not the new data, right? Or is it the benchmarks is what we're going off of?
No, so what you're looking at, I'm trying to follow your question.
In your ordinance would have the revised current or proposed changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I added the benchmark stuff that was where we are
That was the
today.
free stuff.
Okay.
So
So
your
that
new
way we're
stuff-
documenting and having, as
Both
part of this
sides.
agenda,
Okay.
where we are before a change and where we are
I
after a
see
change.
attached
It's
to
part of
it.
your ordinance.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exhibit
Yep.
B to your ordinance
Yep.
is where we are
Okay.
today. So
That
your
was the two-
voter age population for any part black is 47.5%. And for your white is 48.16%. So it's, whatever that math is, would be people that have classified as others.
Now, like I said, I just had another, the Justice Department attorney just told me, because I just asked him about that question, and, you know, not to refute you all or anything, I said that basically, and I sent him the maps and everything, and he says, yeah, you know, it is considered, you know, that one particular group, but he says if you take it to court and try to fight it, then they would bring in the other minorities, you know, in there, and you couldn't disprove that it's not a minority, majority, you know, so.
But again,
That's why I
during our,
wanted you to-
during our exercise, I believe we looked at that and it didn't
Mhm.
give you, do you remember that? I think we looked at it. I just can't remember if it was in here, or if it was when we were at City Hall, but yeah, I mean, that's not a problem.
All right, where do we stand? What do we need to do?
It's up to you, Jeffrey.
My ward's not changing, so,
Yeah, I was just, you know, I'm just asking for those 2 more weeks. Like I said, I'm fine with it as it is. The only reason I'm asking for those 2 more weeks is for citizens to know that this is where it's changing. Go look at it. Here's where the maps are at, and
Yeah, I mean, I respect that and definitely want to support Councilman Reed. I mean, I know we're under a time frame and time crunch, but if, you know, if we get it on the next agenda, yeah, I'm supportive of your request of that.
Yep. All right, keep moving forward. All righty, any other attorney's reports, anything else, Ms. Smith?
No.
Executive session or anything?
And, no, not unless you guys want to. So Kendra said they have to have this complete by September. So she has to have everything that she has finalized by September. So
All right.
we're in June.
Very good. Simple. All right, anything else?
so you got 3 months to do it.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Motion, Mr. Block. Second, from Mr. Salvo, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Thank you. The nays stay here. Y'all just stay here.